Hello everyone, VG time, back with another video. This time I'm going to do a deck profile on one of the new trial deck leaders. If you follow me over on Instagram, you would have saw that the trial deck leader I'm favoring right now is the Frieza leader. The other ones are also very good. I think it's pretty much a known thing that Vegex is going to be tier 1. Vegito leader is going to be fairly strong, but it's going to need a lot more support from set 10. This leader right here has some options now, will of course get stronger come set 10, and I just wanted to give you my first take, like my first big take on it. So let's go over the leader real quick. It has a permanent that you can't include Saiyan cards in your deck. He has an auto, choose one Frieza army card in your battle area and place it in its owner's drop area. And then when this card attacks leader card, your opponent chooses one card in their hand and discard it, and add up to one card from your energy to your hand. So that ability right there is pretty great. It has a lot of good things going for it. One is that it doesn't require a certain color of Frieza's army battle cards. It also causes your opponent to discard a card, which we all like. And then it has a sort of self-awakening that you can actually control, because you're not required to add the card to your hand, so you could choose not to do that in certain matchups. Then of course, if you have 4 or less life, you could turn him over, untap an energy, and draw a card. On the backside, he becomes Last Resort Frieza. He has your typical leader auto: when you attack, you draw a card. Then he has Activate Main once per turn, where you could choose one of your Frieza's army battle card, place it in his drop area, and then you could choose one of your card in your opponent's hands, and then they discard it. Then you choose up to one of your green unison cards, and it gains critical for the turn. So on the backside, he has random discard, as well as making a unison have crit, which is very powerful effect to have. So getting into the rest of the deck, we have to first start with the unison, since it's so key to how the deck operates. So for this deck, so far we have 4 this Frieza Zeno unison. This guy right here is actually very strong. He has a permanent that protects himself that says that if he would lose a counter, you could create a life instead. So sometimes people might not want to attack into him just to prevent you from awakening. And then he has a +1 where you could discard a card to draw a card. That works really well when you consider that green has a lot of drop area synergies. And then he has a -1 where you could KO a 4 drop or less, or you could choose one of your opposing unisons and remove a counter from it. So green seems to be the only color that can effectively remove counters from unisons, and thus are fairly decent at killing them. To help you search this guy, we played 4 copies of the Zarbon, the 1-drop. He searches top 5 on auto for a 2-drop specified green unison, or a green Frieza's army card would cost 4 or less, which is basically every battle card in this deck except for a couple. Then he has an Activate Battle in the drop area that says that you could pay green, send him to the warp, in order to give your leader card or unison card plus 10k for the battle. So again, it goes with the unison ability to discard them. So the first one you could use a search, combo them off, and then discard the later one, so that later in the game you just have this big surge of power. Next up, we have also from the starter deck 4 copies of this Dodoria. This card right here is actually quite nuts. It has an auto that if you have the unison and your leader is Frieza and all that good stuff, when it's sent to the drop area due to a skill from your hand, it comes into play. So when you use the unison ability to discard a card and draw a card, he comes into play for free, and that gives you fodder for Frieza to be able to sack to make your opponent discard a card. Then he has Activate Main, where if he's in the drop area and you have the unison out there, you could pay green to return him back to your hand. So there's been several times when I play games where I basically discard them to draw a card and then pay green and brought them right straight back to my hand, just because of the way the deck kind of works. You're not really playing big guys and tapping out energy every turn. So he gives you something to do with it. Next up, super combo, we played for Zarbon. I would love to be able to play Paragus, but sadly enough, Paragus is a Saiyan. So this is the next one to play because it's searchable by the Zarbon, as well as another card in the deck. Now, if you really are about the hand control and you want to ratchet down on it a little bit more, you could always run the Android 18 blue-green super combo. But I have found that the amount of hand control this deck naturally provides is good enough, and so I would rather just draw the card off my super combo. Next, I'm going to go into the yellow package. The starter deck does come green-yellow, and I don't see really a downside to doing that. When set 10 comes around, maybe the deck will morph into mono green because there's going to be a very strong incentive to do so. But right now, I like where yellow brings me. So the first reason for playing yellow is to play a copy of Cold Bloodlust. That card right there is one of the best counter plays in the entire game, and that's why it's at 1. I have a hopeful day that it'll come up more than 1, but I know that that's probably never going to happen. It's probably going to get banned first. 2 copies of Newwst, that's another reason to play yellow. Allows you to be able to deal with wide boards, not take too much damage, and hopefully give you enough time to be able to deal with the situation. Another card that's amazing in yellow that I think a lot of people forgot about is Death Ball. Your leader has to be Frieza, and it gives your leader plus 15k. And then if it's your turn, you get to KO a battle card in rest mode. And this is activate battle ability, so just keep that in mind. This is a very strong card. It doesn't care about what size it is, it just has to be in rest mode. Then in the trial deck, you also get Frieza's Call. We're playing 3 copies of it in this deck. This is also a very powerful card. You get to pay 1 energy to get a 2-drop or less Frieza's Army from your deck in rest mode. Being in rest mode doesn't really matter in this deck because your leader is only going to sack it off anyway for one of its effects. And the main target for that card is 3 copies of Frieza Melissa Street. This guy right here says if he's sent from the battle area to the drop area, it doesn't matter how he gets there. You get to take up to 1 life to your hand and then play a Frieza from your hand with cost 2 or less. The main target for that is 4 copies of Infernal Emperor Frieza. This guy right here has an auto that when you play him, you get to choose one of your life, up to 1 of your life, and add to your hand. So if you go first and you charge green and you don't have the unison, and your opponent's playing a deck that can attack you on turn 2, you can charge yellow, Frieza's Call into that 2-drop I showed you, swing with leader, take a life, sack that guy, make your opponent discard a card, take a life off that guy, then play the other Frieza and take a life and be awakened on turn 2 with a follow-up 10k attack, and then the ability to make your opponent discard a random card. So it's a very powerful combination. I do suggest people try it. Next, another thing that you could play off of him is 4 copies of this Frieza Terrifying Transformation. This is a chain that's in the trial deck. I also believe that it's in the main set itself. He has an auto that if he's removed from the battle area by your opponent's skill, you draw 2 cards. So it kind of disincentivizes people from interacting with him that way, or so they have to attack him. And then he has an activate main where you can pay a green to put a 4-drop Frieza from your hand or drop area on top of him in active mode. So you get to get a swing off of him, pay green, play that Frieza, restand him, and then get whatever attack off that Frieza. The main target for that is the 2 copies of Frieza Cosmic Horror. I'm only running 2 copies of this, even though it's a very, very strong card. Let's go into its effects. It has dual attack. That in and of itself is pretty good because of the unison meta. And then he has an auto that when he comes into play, you can either KO a battle card or choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove the counter from it. So again, green is going to be efficient at getting the counters off these unisons and dealing with them immediately. And then yeah, that's basically what he has. And then I play 2 copies of Surprise Attack Frieza. You could technically go into this guy, but this guy right here comes into play for free if you KO one of your opponent's battle cards. And the reason why I run these 4 drops is because of 4 copies of this 1-star ball Parasitic Darkness. This card right here is actually quite cool. It acts like a 4-star ball in which it gives 5k as activate battle, but it does it to any card, so it also works with unisons. And then you could put it as activate main underneath the Frieza for no energy cost whatsoever to play out a Frieza Zeno from your deck or your hand. And it doesn't even care what size the Frieza Zeno is, but currently we only have 1. And that's 2 copies of Frieza the Power Monger. The reason why I run this guy at 2 is simply because he's unique, as well as having a deflect. So you don't have to worry about counterplays with him. And being unique, you can't really have multiple of them on the table. So he has an auto that says, if he is sent to the drop area due to a skill and your opponent has 3 or more energy, you could choose a green extra card with cost 1 or less and add it back to your hand. So a lot of the times if he dies, you're either going to get back one of the next cards I show you, or you're going to get back the 1-star ball back to your hand. Finally, we have for negates, we have 2 copies of Shocking Death Ball. This is our Sparking Negate, is well known. Pops a 2-drop as well as 2 or less, as well as negate the attack. And then I'm trying out 2 copies of For Greater Good. This is also a negate. It came out in set 7. Negates and pops a 1 or less, so it's a full power energy. But then it has the added benefit that if it's in your drop area, and of course you didn't activate it this turn, you could pay green, send it to the warp, and remove a green card in your hand from the game to negate the attack. Again, you're going to play off the graveyard synergy, so if you happen to have one of these in your hand and you have your unison out and you just want to activate its effect and cycle, you can always discard this to the drop area, draw a card, and then later on use it out to drop to defend yourself. So again, this is a cool budget list. If you have the money for it, you could of course go with a more mono green list. The mono green list of course will have Ribrians and Cells, Earth Destroying Kamehamehas, and all that stuff in it. But I really wanted to try out this engine, and that is brought up in the trial deck, and from doing so, it's actually worked out quite decently. I have some gameplay footage I'm going to share with you guys so you can see like what it could do. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out other videos on this channel, and follow me on Instagram at the name below in the description. This is VG Time, signing out.